So maybe I can give you one example of the amount of buffering we need. Imagine we are a lake. Our blood is a large lake, and we have a certain amount of acid in this lake. If you have a lake with round about 50 billion liters of water, we would have 1 liter of acid in this lake. So it's just a very, very tiny amount of acid. pH 7, the pH scale is a logarithmic scale. And so we have just a tiny amount of acid. Of course, this is distributed in the whole lake. And this 1 liter is allowed to fluctuate between 990 milliliters and 1010 milliliters. As soon as we have a little more or a little less, we're dead, or on the way to the emergency ward. So the point is, this 1 liter must be kept constant. However, what are we doing? With our usual diet, if we calculate it, we have an input of round about 500,000 liters of acid into this lake. So our system must somehow cope with this 500,000 liters that we pour continuously into the lake without change of a total amount of just 1 liter acid in the whole lake. So how can we do that? Of course, we have a lot of buffering capacity in our system, in the water. In our blood, we have, of course, the bicarbonate, and as soon as we have this input of water of acid here, this acid is immediately bound to these alkalizing substances. Okay, so what is if we continue eating? Well, our buffering capacity is 0 after a while, and we die. So this obviously does not happen. So the system is not closed, it's an open system. We are able to excrete acid, of course, and in a way we can use especially our kidney to drain this acid that we put into the system to get it out of the system. However, here in between, our system is not able to accept more than 1 liter of acid in total. So if we ingest a normal Western diet, we have 500,000 liters here. This is 1 liter. And of course, these 500,000 liters must go out here. However, we can increase this. If you eat an acidic diet, as Vanessa and I did yesterday evening when we were here for eating large steaks, I've never seen these steaks, then you might have 1 million liters of acid falling into the system. And then you need 1 million liter to excrete. But still, in between here, only 1 liter is allowed, not more. So we can now also do it the other way around. We can avoid the too high acidity in our diet, and it's possible without very complicated things just to have 0 acid in our diet. So we don't add any acid to our system. Of course, then we don't have big problems. The other way is we could simply add enough alkaline. So we do that by simply eating a food that already compensates for the acid load within the food. by simply, if you have a steak, add a lot of vegetables with it. Then it's okay, then we compensate for part of this. And so we can even go to 0. It's possible. Or we simply can add 500,000 liters of alkalines, of alkaline supplementation to that. Then we also are able to compensate for that. And in our system, of course, this is much easier then to keep this constant without problems. But think, we are not, of course, we are an open system. So if we have the input of these 500,000 liters, we buffer that and we excrete it. However, when we're getting older, this is a little impaired. Our kidney function declines when we are aging. And so it's more complicated to get rid of this acidity. And what happens? Nothing with regard to the amount of acidity here in our lake. But we have other compartments here and here, where we can somehow deposit acid. We can take our bones to compensate for a surplus of acid, or we can deposit acid in our connective tissues. So really, this shows you the amount. This is not just a tiny amount. This is really dramatic regulation that takes place with us, just to keep this small amount of acidity in this big lake constant.